There it is. Oh God. Oh wait. Got it.
Are you
Great.
good?
I'm good. I got it. I'm
The
great.
hot lady recording voice stunned you momentarily tonight.
Recording in progress. Like it's.
That was really good. That was
Thank
pretty accurate.
you.
I don't think any of our listeners / viewers hear that. But when we log on to record this, there's always a lady voice.
A lady voice.
Who
Everybody knows.
does as Lindsey did.
The last 3 years
knowing,
we've been on Zoom for our whole lives.
I wouldn't have known that until I started recording it, though.
I guess you're right. Microsoft Teams doesn't
maybe
give
I'm
you a
that
voice.
guy. Maybe I'm that guy.
Yeah, it's all good. Well, hey, it's Dagger Cast.
Hey.
It's me, Lindsey, and it's Brian. I don't know where we are in the thing. I'm pointing as if you're over there, but you might not be. I don't know.
You may not be. I'm a crafty devil.
He could be anywhere. So
and often am.
I'm I don't know. We're here. Please, interact with us. We're on Facebook, we're on Instagram, we're on all of your streaming places. Tell your moms. And if you ever want to email us and say that we're doing a terrible job or a wonderful job, please email us at daggercastinfo@gmail.com. I would love to hear you talk about whatever you want to do. Literally, write me a love letter. I don't give a shit. But I'm very, very excited about our guest today. I'm just gonna can I just do a history? Can I do a backstory?
Of course.
Thank you, Brian. I appreciate it. So I moved to Indianapolis, Naptown, USA, in September of 2020. In the middle of a pandemic, in the middle of having a child. She was 6 months at the time. Now she's 2. It wasn't a move that I wanted to do, to be honest. I love Chicago. I miss Chicago every day. It was a strategic move to be closer to family and to have them in our lives while we have a baby, and also to buy a house because houses are way cheaper down here. And we found a really good neighborhood of Irvington, which everybody kept telling me that was the neighborhood we should choose. So I did. And the only thing I could really do, because I was working from home and because there really weren't many places open that I felt safe taking anybody to, I'm sorry. I went to a coffee shop called Landlocked and was just like, I don't know, this is a good walking distance for me to take a good long walk, get a coffee, take a good long walk back, look at the beautiful nature of Irvington because there's these gorgeous huge ass trees here. And then I just kept running into the same wonderful people that were attending bar, and I was like, oh, you guys are really cool. One in particular wore a lot of horror t-shirts, and I was like, oh man, you're cool, you're real cool. And her name was Coye, and she her name is Coye. Wow, it's like I'm talking about a person that, okay, I'm not going to go there. So I was like, oh man, this girl's really cool. She had lots of horror shirts, and we would talk about horror stuff, and I would be like, hey, I have a podcast that we talk about representation in horror films. And she was like, whoa, that's amazing. And I'm like, we haven't done it in like a year. Like, no, it wasn't quite a year, but we hadn't done it in quite a while, and I missed you guys. So the second I got done talking to her, I remember going straight to you guys and messaging you and being like, I met a person who should be listening to Dagger Cast episodes. We need to make Dagger Cast again. And you, both of you, both Jared, our production manager, and Brian, were like, hell yes, let's do this. And we literally like found a way to do it. Jared was a surgeon on getting us Zoom and getting everything figured out, and now we're here. And so our guest of honor is John Coleman, not Coye at all. JK, it's Coye. You can undo your woohoo!
Hi.
Hey,
so glad you're not John Coleman, man.
Me too.
I mean, dude, he's great. I owe him money. I don't want to talk to him right now. Anyway, I hope I didn't get that wrong. You could be like, no, Lindsey, actually, you were annoying, and I had to just shut you up by being like, horror movie, huh? Woo.
Why is that? Then why would I wear this shirt?
Right? I don't know. You're just like, oh, I just want this lady to not talk to me anymore. I am so like, By the time I get to you, I am so serious. I am desperate for human interaction. So I know that I'm just like, when I would come home and Ryan would be like, "Oh, was your friend there?" And I was like, "Dude, they're all friends. They're all great. But I don't want him to think I really enjoy their company for 5 minutes." Like,
But why not? That's what we're there for.
no, exactly. No, you guys have literally like made Indianapolis like a great place for me. And I
Dude.
just thank you so much, because
Dude.
I did not I did not expect it to be that good.
I understand. I
yeah.
totally understand. Like, I'm sure you get like, why did you move to Indianapolis from Chicago? That's so much.
Every day. People are always like, or somebody will call me and they'll be like, "Oh, hey, are the cell phones still playing? We got a show for you." And I'm like, oh, I'm sorry, we can't do that one because two of us live in Indianapolis now. And they're like, "Why?" Like immediately they're like, "But why? Why have you chosen this life?" And I'm like, I'm sorry. Even people like I follow like Chicago DIY, and they'll be like, "Does anyone know any places in Indiana? I know nothing. I can," and then there's just like message after message of people being like, "Man, I keep trying to get Indiana to work. No one in Indiana has good DIY places to play." And I'm just like, I'm gonna try, guys. I don't know what I can do, but I'm gonna find the people who do it, and we'll just play shows here. I swear to God. But like, it is hard. Even when I was living in Chicago, I was like, "Where in Indianapolis can we fucking play?" But
yeah,
I'll figure it out.
I'm sure you still have that question today.
Yeah.
You probably will have it tomorrow.
Yep.
But hey, Indy is trying. It's trying.
It is. It really is. And I was expecting worse, and they're so much better. And I'm just like,
Good.
I'm happy. And yes, you are like, I'm serious. Like, you are like one of the good things that I was like, "Oh, see, there's a person of color here in the I only had to walk a mile to see one." I'm joking. There are neighbors. We have neighbors too. And whenever I see them, I'm just like, "Thank you." Like, it's so just like my grandmother who lives in Marshall, Illinois, every time she like goes outside of Marshall, Illinois, she's always like, "Oh, it's so nice to see people of different backgrounds." I'm just like, "Oh, I hate that we live here. Why is it like this?
Why?
Why?" I mean, Chicago isn't, it's very segregated and you can feel it and see it, but it's still like, yeah, I feel like Indianapolis just has a lot of learning to do. And I think, yeah, my husband now, he works in a school, and he is also, I mean, I think it's primarily like, he says it's primarily urban. Thrival Academy. They are, yeah, they're so lovely. Ryan is the art teacher. Yeah, he's cute. He's an art teacher. He's a special ed teacher. And he, yeah, it's like I think he gets cool points for just being a weirdo. So that's kind of cool. I think they just see him and they're like, "You aren't wearing anything brand name. I don't understand." But they're like, "But he smokes weed though, right? He smokes weed." Ryan's like, "Shut up. Like, keep it down." JK, he's the best. But anyway, yeah, so I've been wanting to pick your brain since day one. I want to know about you. I want to know what horror has played in your life and where it started.
Oh, man.
Take me to the beginnings.
To the beginnings. The beginnings. First of all, you are too kind. Wow, you've made my entire year. It's over. Yay! It's just February. And thank you. Those are, like you said, the nicest things about. Thank you. I am
shopper, Lindsey. Early shopper.
I'm sorry. I just.
No, I'm really like beside my. I'm here, but damn. Thank you. But horror and me began with Blockbuster. Probably like most of us at this age. I'm already telling you how old I am. But my friend and I, we used to rent movies. If we go to the horror section, our parents would take us to we have a sleepover. Let me back up. We have a sleepover, and then we'd harass our parents, whichever parent that we were staying at, to take us to Blockbuster, and then we go straight to the horror section because we liked Unsolved Mysteries. That was like shit. So just for some reason, we just wanted to be more spooked out. And so we got whatever had like blood on the cover or like was a little scandalous looking, something that we shouldn't have been watching at our age. We watched Sleepaway Camp. I watched Sleepaway Camp when I was far too young to watch Sleepaway Camp, and I'm really proud of it.
Oh,
yeah.
Because that does take a turn to a point where you're like, oh shit.
I learned something. It was something new, It was cute. I'm really happy I got that education so young. Like, I think it has a lot to do with like my politics and how I feel. I truly do. How I see the world. My worldview was shaped by 80s slashers. I mean, like, but I'm not like a purist. I thought the kids should fuck and not get killed. I really did. But rules are rules.
Do you think those are changing at all? I remember going to see the Piranha remake, and one of my favorite characters was played, I think, by a former Playboy model, or but she was like one of the the skanky girls hanging out with Jerry O'Connell's character, and of course she gets it, and the virginal girlfriend of the lead survives, and I'm just like, a much less interesting character, and I was like, and this was what, 10-12 years ago, and but I was like, even then I was like, haven't we reached the period of time where the naked model can survive and the virginal girl can die? And in real life, come on, it's the person with the street smarts who's really gonna, who's been abused a bit and used by men and learn to fight back, who's gonna survive in the end, right? Like, in reality, it's just, but even like 10 years ago, it was still the people who fuck getting it. And I don't know, do we think that's changed at all?
I thought that when they played on the trope in Scream, I liked that, where they were like, well, whoever has sex, they're gonna die. And then Neve Campbell has this like really sweet, wonderful moment where she has sex with her boyfriend for the first time, and they make it really like touching and sweet. But in the end, it's like, oh, you had sex, now I have to kill you, and then she survived. She survived every movie, every single movie. So I always liked that. I liked that they had made this final girl that was, they had already pointed it out. They were like, she had sex. Yeah. She shouldn't be able to live. But
absolutely.
But then she did, and she literally lived for all the movies.
But
so
that's rare. That's an anomaly, correct?
It's kind of yeah. And I think that's why she's such a such a survivor that we all root for.
For sure.
Not necessarily because she had sex, but like other reasons. She's like this strong character that was able to have sex with her deranged boyfriend,
right?
And lived to tell about it.
Aren't they all?
I mean, like, that's why Scream is the if you've seen the fifth one.
Yes.
They just is that
the surprise bitch? Is that one, or is that the new one?
No, it's the new one.
Oh man, I haven't seen
the surprise bitch one. Girl, I love that movie so much.
Yes.
Anyway, I digress. In the fifth one, they tell you exactly what the stab movies are, which is a slasher whodunit, a meta slasher whodunit, and that's what they are. That's what Scream is, and so that's why I feel that it was able to get away with having such a kind of not traditional final girl in Sydney. It's like, it's the entire point of the Scream series is to break those genre rules. But you're right. I would like let's see. I'm trying to think of like a horror movie that I've seen recently, or at least in the past 20 years, where like the hot slutty girl does live. And I really can't, we'll probably keep talking. We'll get there.
Yeah, we'll get there.
But have you guys seen Cherry Falls?
Yep.
Cherry Falls. No.
Yeah. Brittany Murphy. It's kind of where, it's the opposite.
Yes.
Which is great for bringing it up, Coye. That you brought it up, so you.
No, yeah. Okay. Okay.
Run with that fruit. Run with that cherry.
Turn that chair.
I don't know if I've seen that one. I love Brittany Murphy. So many people used to tell me I looked like Ty from Clueless, like all the time.
Oh my gosh, I never thought of that, but I can see
all
that.
the time.
I can see that. That's such a great compliment.
It was such a weird, it was such a like, oh my God, you look like Ty from Clueless. And I'd be like, thank you.
Oh my God.
But I'd be like, but then sometimes they'd be like, like before though. And I'm like,
of course, because they can't just compliment. They have to ruin the compliment, right? And
yeah.
What, are you talking about the texture of my hair? Is that
right?
Oh,
right.
But God, I love I miss her.
I miss her too.
Such a scene stealer.
It's hard to watch her.
It is
for me. Like not often does that happen, but it's hard to see her in stuff, knowing that she passed away so tragically.
So early.
Yeah. So early.
Yep. But Cherry Falls, basically, they're killing the virgin, so everyone has to have sex.
Yeah, that's the whole premise. And it's a great cast. It's a great cast.
Yeah,
and she is electric in that movie. Electric.
Yeah.
Oh man. Also, I love It Follows. So my favorite freaking like new horror movies.
Absolutely.
Ryan will just play the soundtrack for
shits
so
and giggles. I downloaded it as soon as I went home, and illegally. So it tells you how old I am. Once again.
You wouldn't steal a soundtrack. I'm sorry. I tried to be urban lettering just now. That was how I interpretive danced urban lettering. I'm sorry. I just did that.
Okay. Have you seen the new Slumber Party Massacre?
No. Oh my God. My best friend, she's the one that told me to watch Cherry Falls, and she put this in her top 10 of last year.
Well,
I need to see that movie.
I just need to write all these down.
Black Girl.
Yeah.
Sassy Babes, nice. kind of flipping it on its butt a bit. There's some twists and turns. And like the guys have the pillow fight. Like they really, the only nudity is a long scene of one of the guys taking a shower. And it's the guys who have the pillow fight and make all the stupid choices, and the women are they're totally the original, and some of the original sequels kind of put it on its head a bit, but this one really like totally goes for it and kind of
okay.
The girls are out there to kick ass, and the guys are just kind of caught in the mayhem.
Mm-hmm. I'm into that. It's cool. It sounds like this is like, have you guys watched Euphoria?
Yes. I haven't watched this season, but yes. It's
amazing. And I feel like there's a lot of like the like teen media, young people media. I think that horror movies are going to look really different in the post Euphoria world, because even like Scream 5 looked different to me. Some of the things that were character building points were not something that we would have given a shit about in 2015, 2018. But like, I'm telling you, like, there's something, because like the fact that the boys they like to turn a lot around for like gender norms in Euphoria. And I know it also inspired the new Gossip Girl. And I love the new Gossip Girl. And because I really like the OG one, because it's stupid. It's real dumb. And this one's equally stupid. But they play a lot with gender, like a lot. And the fact that they, especially in Euphoria, tried to give as much like full nudity of both men and women. Like there is so much dick in both, like, and they're very proud to equal it out. Sometimes it will not give you any like titty. They'll just give you all dick. It's like, thank you. Thank you. I just need it to be equal. That's all.
Yeah, that's been one of my big
that's one of our big points here.
Is it?
Yeah,
we've for a long time.
We've talked a lot about how we would like to see more dick in horror films.
Yeah, like Deathgasm, when that one dude got his dick like sawed off or something. I was so stoked. I was stoked because you never see that kind of like
That's
meme.
true. You never see a meme of a dick, even though it's so obvious.
Yeah.
But I almost feel like, men who are like making horror for men, they're like, man, no, that's too close, man.
That's too close, man.
Too close to home, man. Like,
Yeah.
no, bro, no, don't do it.
For a while there with Big Gay Horror on my blog, every Friday or every other Friday, I do something called the back side of horror, and I would highlight male nudity in horror films.
Lovely.
I kind of stopped doing it just because I thought it was just, I was trying to highlight, the exploitation of women, but was my, because sometimes I would show the butt shots or whatever like that, like from the screen grabs in the blog, and I was like, now am I being exploited? Because like these actors didn't, they're in the film, but did they expect, some little blogger to be screen grabbing them and putting them online where they can be seen forever? I don't know. So I kind of,
I don't know, but I feel like your writing style is very journalistic, and it is very it is very straightforward. So I feel like the more you have a tone, like you're not writing for Maxim, like where they would just be like, her voluptuous, when they were just interviewing an actor. So I feel like as long as you're very like, oh, here in this scene we see the posterior of actor blankety blank. Great, powerful performance. I feel like that would be, I would enjoy that, and it would be funny because it'd be like, is this man for real? He is. I love it. You should keep doing it forever.
You should.
Well, I haven't for a while, but maybe you'll inspire me.
I mean, I understand like that fine line.
Yeah.
Because it is because you don't ever want to be like, you don't want to fight fire with the same fire. It's not a quality. Yeah. Equality isn't me putting my foot on your face. That's not.
Seriously, nicely put. The funniest one was I did one on Blood Diner, which was Jackie Kong, an Asian. But the lead, like squishes his butt against like the glass of a car to moon someone. Well, the lead the actor whose name I can't recall, I think it was probably one of the only films he did. Messaged me because he had a butt double. It wasn't him. I was like, okay, so and so, was naked, and he was actually, he goes, I weighed about 125 pounds, and my butt double weighed about 250.
Oh shit!
That's definitely not my.
And
butt.
No one noticed. That's hilarious.
Maybe if I went back, I would like, now that I was aware.
Yeah, if I were an actor, I would want my butt double to be like a 60-year-old man. Like I would just be like,
he was kind of like, he didn't, I guess it was a real like fly by the seat of your pants thing, and they weren't paying him any money to begin with, and he was like, I definitely wasn't gonna be,
That's
bring
hilarious.
in the butt double,
showing my choochies, my my man bones. So
beautiful.
Yeah. And I wonder, I will have to go back and look, because I told him I will correct that. That's very funny, and I don't know if I ever did. So I still could be spreading
misinformation.
Yeah, seriously.
You are Joe Rogan.
I know. Massive
of asses.
Misinformation. Yes. Yeah. Massive in misinformation.
I want Jared to like contact me and say, we've been banned from Spotify because we talked about man asses, and I'll be like, what?
Well, this might be we were talking about it before, because during our amazing producer Jared, every episode we have a conversation where he wants to chime in. So one of our jokes tonight was to try to peg a moment when he might want to be chiming in, and I don't know if that would be a moment when he wanted to chime in, but it might
be like, we're banned, Lindsey. Like, FYI, we just got banned.
We would definitely have to chime in to tell us that.
Just checked, we're shadow banned.
So we'll see. But I think there's a much better moment where he would want to chime in. I just hope that was not it.
That was not it. Who knows?
I could be wrong. Do you have a favorite? Go ahead, Lindsey.
Oh yeah, no. Again, I think that was going to be my question. Do you have a favorite? You have so many amazing. Like seriously, I've seen The Fly. I've seen Deep Red. I've seen shirts that literally I'm like, these are all my favorite fucking movies. Like, I just knew I was like, oh god, like this chick rules. Like it was very like. It was like that. All I have is like, this is a shirt from a fest I did, but it's the guy.
Oh, that's beautiful.
Head.
I have a pin of that. I have a pin that's like a hologram, and it's like his head intact and then head blown up.
Amazing.
Head intact, head blown up. It's
oh, so cool. Oh man, I love that. Oh man, I will tell me where you found that.
I will.
And if it's still on the internet, I'm gonna buy it.
Because you do need it. Yes,
absolutely. But yeah, I guess I just wanted to know, like, yeah, what's your favorite? What are you like the most into? Like what? Like you obviously started your with do with Unsolved Mysteries and then slasher stuff. Like where are you now? And where do you think? I don't know.
That's a good question, because like I've always been like an Italian horror fan. That's always been like my bread and butter.
I can tell you, I saw Deep Red when I was in high school, and it completely ruined my night.
Yeah,
and it was literally it was Deep Red. We didn't know what we were watching. It was like on IFC, and literally like when that puppet came in the room, we were like, no, like it was so terrifying to the point where I was just like, I just need to see where this goes. And It was amazing, and it blew my mind. And we were in like an English teacher's room, and me and my best friend Garrett are like, man, that movie, it won't leave my brain. I'm so upset. And my boss was, and the guy who the English teacher at the time, he wasn't even my English teacher. He just was a cool English teacher I knew. And he was like, oh man, Profondo Rosso, you guys got into that? And he's like, yeah. And he was like, 100% watch Suspiria. And he wrote it down on a little Post-it note, and he said Suspiria. And I don't even know if I watched it. We were just like, oh my God, Mr. Miller's so cool. And then like when I met Ryan for the first time, he pulled out all of his VHSs to impress me. He did. But one of them was Suspiria, and he was like, oh my God, you've not seen this movie? The opening segment's the best. And it was then that I was like, I'm gonna marry this man. So this is why like Italian horror to me is so important. We've watched so many. We watched Goblin Live.
I hate you.
Yeah, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. I will take you next time. I will just, whenever it happens, I'll be like, Coye, you're coming with me. But I saw them. I was so into their performance that I factory reset my phone on accident. That's how fucked up I was. I was just like, oh my God, this is so good. What have I done? Like, it was great. Anyway, I'm sorry. I interrupted you.
No, I don't care. This is. Are we having a conversation?
We are.
Like, it's not. Yeah. How are you interrupting me? We were having a convo.
So good.
Like, I want to hear all this about you guys. I'm just like, kind of like, it takes me a while sometimes to warm up, but I want to hear literally all of your thoughts.
Woo! Yeah.
I want to hear everything you've ever thought ever about. Doesn't matter if it's about horror movies. It should be about horror movies since we are recording a horror movie podcast, but like, I want to hear them all.
Yes.
Like seriously. I would like to hear what your favorite movie, like at least like the ones that got you interested in the genre and like writing and like making music about it and like buying, like, look at all those posters on your wall. Like, look at all those books behind you. You guys are like nerds.
Yes, 100%. Yeah, I mean, Brian has a long, wonderful history with horror. We talked about this a lot. Like one of our first episodes, we talked about like, you know, what was the first even possible thing that got us into like a horror genre. And for me, it was when somebody put on Rocky Horror Picture Show on TV when I was 6. And I didn't know what I was looking at. And again, it was very much like a sleepaway camp situation where I was like, how's that man having sex with both of them? And I remember like pretending to be asleep. And so like one eye was closed. But when I was open,
I know that move.
Like, what is happening? Like, I thought I was watching porn, and yeah, and then I was like, whatever that is, that's cool, and I want to watch it again. So that was like what got me into being like, oh, okay, like weird stuff that kind of scares me but also excites me is something that I want to be drawn towards.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Brian, what about you?
Yes.
I think this is a really important conversation, and particularly having been on panels where it's so many of the writers are straight white dudes of a certain age. I always talk about Wizard of Oz because that was really my first. With the Wicked Witch of the West and Dorothy as the final girl, and I think it's so important. I think it's rarely mentioned. Occasionally they'll throw Margaret Hamilton in her witch garb on, a old school horror film magazine or what have you. But that really, on so many levels, resonated with me. I would go in the back and make, like I fell in love with Judy Garland, and would go out and make, mud pies in the backyard in the country town I grew up in, and dreaming of all the plays that Judy Garland and I were going to star in, and I knew they were actors too. Like I probably saw this when I was just about 4, and I knew already that Dorothy wasn't really a character, that Judy Garland played her, and that Frank Morgan was the wizard, and like I was already fully aware of that. And
this 4-year-old knew Frank Morgan was the wizard.
Yeah.
What? I would point at my kid and be like, he knows who Frank Morgan is. I'm sorry.
So, but and that's an interesting too, because I got to college and then found out that, and of course, discovered Marianne Faithfull and Patti Smith and whole other avenues of expression. Even though I was in this really remote area, thankfully I had some kind of culture seeping through. But found out that liking Judy Garland was like a huge gay thing, and flipped it. Like I started hating her, like because I didn't like that internal homophobia, because I didn't want to be like a typical gay guy. So there's this whole journey. I've written articles about that have been published. It's about my love hate and that self-hate, and so I think that is so important to bring up again and again and again, because I think you never hear Wizard of Oz when you talk about horror on horror panels. And like my favorite horror film is probably Whatever Happened to Baby Jane, and same thing. I remember seeing that movie as a kid and loving it, and it being one of my favorite films. But because Bette Davis and Joan Crawford were such a gay, statistic, as it were, as well, I was like, well, that can't be my favorite film. And the Music Box Theater here in Chicago just did a retrospective of Bette Davis stuff, and so I went to go see Whatever Happened on the big screen again, and it blew me away. I think it's an amazing film just in general, and says so much about how society thinks of women in society, single women of a certain age. They can't be normal professors with successful lives. If you're two women living together, and you're a certain age, you got to be, there's something wrong with you, you're crazy,
Grey Gardens.
Yep. Seriously, totally, exactly, Coye, exactly. So it's been an interesting journey for me too, and I think it's so important to bring that film up, because I think that's an amazing film. I think it gets on those best of lists, but rarely in those panels and rarely in discussions do you have someone going like, hey, my favorite film is Whatever Happened to Baby Jane, and it legitimately is.
Yes,
for a film, but I think it's so rarely brought up.
My friend Sarah Yazel, who has been on the show before, Whatever Happened to Baby Jane is absolutely one of her absolute favorites. And I totally, after knowing her, I understand why. She loves that psycho biddy. But I missed the Music Box. You said the Music Box, and I was like, oh, yeah. I want to ride my bike.
See, box. We have the can. Okay, but
we do.
Do you two have places in Indianapolis where there is cool shit like that?
There is like a brand. It's like brand new, but it's like this art house theater. It's called the Can, and it is very pretty. One of my friends from college. I had a lot of like younger friends in college because I taught theater, and their parent, like, they would find me at my dorm and just hang out with me, like 12 and 13-year-old kids. And they would just be like, yeah. And I would just be like, oh God. And their parents would call me and be like, are you babysitting our kids? I'm like, no, I'm letting them leave whenever. Like, I promise I'm not doing anything weird in my dorm with your kids. And they would just be like, oh, no, like, come have dinner with us. And so they've just been like the nicest people. And now that I have a kid, like, they've been very like, oh, Lindsey, let me take you to dinner. So they took me to dinner at a can like special, like, it was like a 5-course meal, and it was all wines from Burgundy. And I was like, whoa, I'm fancy. But that's the only thing I've done at the can, but I really want to go again.
Yeah, they have good programming. They like they have good programming. I would venture to bring more horror in there, but that's just my own personal preference, obviously.
That was honestly like one of my dreams, like one of my secret dreams, when I was like, okay, if we're moving to Indianapolis, I was like, I want to find a place that will let me like have a bunch of like, just let me have my own like series of movies, so that I could like, and I was like, I want to make a music box in Indianapolis. There's enough theaters, old theaters here, that I think one of them would give me a night or something, but like I just haven't figured that out yet. But that's like my secret dream. And if I could just get a place that lets me just have movies there forever. My dream as a child was to have a movie theater / thrift store.
Oh, I love that.
This is what I wanted as a child. And
why can you not do that?
Why can't that happen right now?
That can happen right now?
Yeah. So it's funny. I live across the street from Irvington Plaza, which is an abandoned.
Oh, you live over there? Okay. Yeah, you are really close. Dang.
Yeah. So it's like an abandoned mall. It used to be a marsh. That marsh is gone. It's been gone for years. And the city has tried so hard to get it out of the clutches of this man in Boca Raton who just sits on it and doesn't do anything with it. There's like a health thing. There's an H&R Block. There's a barber shop, and a bunch of Republicans hang out in the flea market. That's it. I've also thought about just buying a stall in the middle of this flea market and having it be like a conservative haunted house, and just having them like sit in a chair, and then just a bunch of really liberal things happen. Like it's just somebody runs in, they're like, Dad, I'm gay. And then he like runs out, and then they're like, and then like as they leave, they're just like, oh my God. Oh, like this is what I want. So but stupid. I want, right.
So what would you, first of all, Coye, was it hard? Like, are you, did you grow up in Indianapolis?
I did. Yeah, I'm a Hoosier.
So yeah, how have, I'm just curious, how have you hunted down all this? Because like I you know, like, dude, especially Italian horror, that's pretty rare. And then this might be a Jared moment where Jared wants to join in. If you could create and curate your own horror film festival, and this is for all of us, what would the theme be, and then what would be like a few of the movies you would want to show?
Oh my God. Okay.
I want to know this.
I am on the spot. Okay. But Hoosier. Oh, okay. So the way I was able to get, so in Bloomington, I worked at movie gallery. Yeah, movie gallery. Okay. I worked at movie gallery, and I was able to that's where I really dove in. And I think the first thing I watched was Suspiria. And then I had to work my way through via like magazines and like the shitty internet that we know was back in like 2006, you know, that internet.
Did you live in Bloomington because of college or?
Yeah, I went to IU.
So did I.
I was about to ask, did you go? When were you there?
04 to 07. Oh no, are you serious?
We've wasted so much time. It's okay. What the fuck? What the fuck?
Dude, I have a friend who I've played music with for years, and he and I never met when we were both in Bloomington. It was after when I moved to Chicago and had a band. Did we know each other? And it was like missed opportunity right there.
Such a miss up. Oh my God, we could have been doing this for years.
Wow.
Years. It's fine. It's fine. It's happening
We found
now.
each other now. Yeah,
Yeah, it's beautiful. It's great. God damn.
That makes me so mad.
If you went to the movie gallery, I was probably there. I was probably
Jesus.
there just dancing to the Hairspray, the remake of Hairspray. It played on a loop for like the commercial. And I just every now and again it would just seep into my soul and I would just start dancing to it because
Amazing.
like, you know, you just gotta let the time go by. But there
I was all about I was all about the libraries, like archives. I would watch Dead Ringers on Criterion Laserdisc all the time. That was like the thing I wanted to do. I was like, man, Jeremy Irons is twin gynecologist. This is weird as fuck. And I would just watch it like,
and you're like still like turned on strangely.
Yeah.
Because
like,
Jeremy Irons. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm like, oh, weird. He's okay. They're both attached to each other now. Oh, watch out.
Yeah. Wow. And then after college, I worked at Barnes and Noble in Indianapolis, and I ordered everything in there for myself. I would order anything and everything. I ordered all these box sets. I ordered like a Bava box set. I ordered like I ordered like a bunch of Fulci movies, and I would because you could do that. You could order whatever you wanted to be on those shelves, and that's
what
like
someone's gonna buy it.
Someone's gonna buy it. Me with my discount, girl.
Right.
So I built my library working at Barnes and Noble. That's how I built it and gained most of my like movie knowledge. And then I went to grad school for film studies because I'm crazy. And
that's awesome.
Yeah, I have a master's in film studies, which is insane. That's a very expensive like thing to say. You know what I mean? It's an expensive thing to say.
I'm impressed though.
I bought it. I bought it.
Wow.
It's a lot.
So then when we ask you if what your film series would be, like, you'll fucking know.
Well, I don't, because like I'm not good on the spot is what I'm trying to say. And also like like my favorite movie, that's why I evaded the question from earlier. I know you noticed. I don't it's hard for me it changes daily. Yeah. And you know, and like something you said about finding out that Judy Garland is like a gay thing, and then you didn't want to like acknowledge that, and so you just like actively was like, nah, I hate it. Yep. I did that with like big box horror films, because I did that. The movies that I really love are the Screams and the Freddy Kruegers and I like all of those big box, like huge, this is the 10th part, this is the 12th parter. I love that shit. I don't know why I love it so much, but when I went to, it was like probably late college, and I found out that that's not cool. Scream isn't cool. At that time, it wasn't cool. Like 2000, like 7, 8, like it was too meta, and it was just too full of itself, and like it needed to be like just I guess the taste was that it just needed to be glossier or something like that. And I mean, it was too glossy is what I'm trying to say. It was too glossy. Sure. Even though a lot, and I like all the other glossy stuff that came in the 2000s, but what I'm trying to say is that I started to hate Scream and Halloween and anything that was too like easy to accessible. Oh, this is what everybody's favorite horror movie is. Why didn't you get some originality? And then I started thinking about it. It's like pop music. It's fucking pop music. And that's why I like it. And that's why I love it. I tell people Italian horror to impress them. But like my real, like the thing that like gets me to go to the movie theater like 9 out of 10 times is a fucking sequel of something that I love.
So your festival will be like a curation of like the underappreciated, the sequels everyone hates, which I have.
Yes.
I love a bunch of like the latter day, like I love the Revenge of Michael Myers, like what is that, Halloween 6?
Like 6, yeah, that movie's
love it.
All of those,
love that shit.
Bonkers.
You know, I love Freddy's Dead.
Yes.
Yeah, you know, so like I would love. I think you and I should like do a festival of like all the sequels that everyone hates. That I think are so cool.
They're
Dude,
so
I was like, we talk about like Exorcist 3 all the time.
Oh my fucking god.
Yeah.
The Exorcist 3, my partner and I watched it like late last year, and we were like, where the fuck have I been?
Right?
Where have I been? I fucked up. I fucked up by not watching this movie. This movie rules.
It is.
I saw that at
so
the theater opening weekend.
I hate you.
Chestnut Station was the craziest, funkiest. It was in the Gold Coast of Chicago, right off of Chicago Avenue, right in the heart of the business section. But they would play like Jack's Back, Out of the Dark, the crazy Karen Black, you know, sex worker film where all the sex workers were getting killed.
What movie?
Kinjin Tae, Objects of the Forbidden Zone with Charles Bronson.
Oh my god.
Leprechaun 2 I saw there. Like it was like this ritzy neighborhood right across from not the Harold Washington Library, but the other big brownstone library here in Chicago.
Lindsey, that's you.
His name I'm forgetting.
That's crime. I'm literally I'm putting myself in the intersection that you're talking about, and I'm like, there was a theater there.
Yeah, well, it's been gone for a while. It's been gone for a while, but I saw Child's Play, you know, opening day there. Like, but they would play. It was like this ritzy, and they had 4 or 5 theaters there, but they would play all these crazy, grindhouse horror films, really, that no one else would play. But it was such a weird. I appreciated it so much then, and even more so now. And then, like, I think by kind of as it was getting towards the turn of the century, 2000, it was becoming like a second run place, and blah blah blah. And it's probably not been there for almost 20 years, you know. But what a I'm trying to think. So many crazy Weekend at Bernie's 2 and like the worst stuff. The worst stuff.
God, I love a bad movie.
Warlock 2 there.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
Warlock 2.
Yeah,
dude.
These are wonderful.
Sequel.
Wonderful.
Yeah, an amazing, like, boom. You know, but like I said, in this really well-to-do neighborhood, Newberry Library, right across from the Newberry Library.
Across from the Newberry.
Right across from the Newberry Library. Yes. Yep.
That is such a really ritzy ass area.
Yeah, totally. And the theater was nice. It wasn't like, you know, broken down seats and trash everywhere. I mean, it was a really well kept, nice theater, but they would just play all these really lowbrow, amazing.
Brent, figure out what that used to be called, because I have to know the history now. That's crazy.
Chestnut Station. It was Chestnut Station Theater.
Chestnut Station
Theater. Oh, I will look that up.
Yes. And like, I'm not saying that I don't love Italian horror. I do. It is also a part. Today is the day I feel like I want to talk about shitty sequels of big box movies.
Dude, to me, it's like the comfort food, you know? Like it's like we love that crap. Like I remember, I think the first time I saw like Paranormal Activity, which like everybody was like, oh, this is like a normal film that people will go to the theater for, but everyone's worlds were rocked. Like everyone in that theater felt the exact same thing at the exact same time. We all were like, I am terrified for these people. And that was amazing. And that thing Paranormal Activity has at least 7 movies behind it. And they're all not bad. I kept watching them. I liked when they had new people come up with new concepts, like the guys who directed Catfish. Like they did like the 3rd one or the 4th one.
I heard that, and I haven't seen it yet.
It was but there was this amazing scene. They put a camera on a fan. It was like in the 80s. So the girl in the first movie is a child.
Okay.
in this movie, so it's like a flashback or prequel. But they put a camera, like taped a camera onto a fan, and so the fan's just going to this side of that room, to this side of the room, and like this side of the room was just a thing.
I
It
love
was like
that.
a foyer, and then this side of the room was a kitchen. And there's like this moment where the camera goes this way, and then it goes back to the kitchen, and nothing is in the kitchen, and then it all just falls down, and you're just like, oh shit! Like I just remember losing my shit, and I was
That's
like,
awesome.
this is amazing.
Yes.
So yeah,
Yes.
so yeah, there is definitely something to be said for sequels. Like, and it's funny, my favorite horror movie, because I haven't really said it,
No.
is Prince of Darkness.
Oh
I
my God.
I love, like, I don't know why, but I could watch that movie. Like, if somebody was like, Lindsey, what do you want to watch? And I just wanted to watch something to cross stitch to, it's either going to be any of the Evangelion films, because I'm a nerd, and then
Yes.
Prince of Darkness. I could watch that movie. It's so cerebral. Like everyone is thinking, and everyone is everyone is a different genius or a different
Yeah.
like person that's like working in like, some science, and some like science that's not like a real, like, that's not mathematical. It's all
Mhm.
like theoretical stuff. So you just know all these people are just like brains, but then it's like, but also like a space alien that is the devil is here, and homeless people are going to help. Like it's insane. The whole like what you're watching is a dream. Like it freaks me the fuck out. I don't get it. And a lot of it you don't have to. Like
Right.
I love that movie so much, but they didn't make a sequel for that. That was a standalone. And I'm almost like, why not? Like John Carpenter, well, that was Carpenter, right? Yeah, that
Mhm.
was a Carpenter. Like he's done other sequels with other things, but there are some movies where he's just like one and done. This is it.
I think
Damn.
he historically he didn't want to do more Halloween films. I think he's kind of a one and done guy. Like
Huh.
I think he's riding
Yeah.
the money train with this Halloween thing.
Yeah, he is.
But I don't think he was involved. He was
Not at
involved, but
all.
didn't direct or write Halloween 2, or maybe he wrote it. I can't remember quite the.
I feel like he wrote it. I think you're right about the
Might have wrote
writing.
it. Yeah. But he didn't want to direct it, and wanted to take Halloween 3, another great sequel, into it, like wanted to do that as a totally different thing, but the public wanted more Michael Myers, and so yeah, I think he's just money training it, because he can't get, which is amazing. All these people that we worship, Joe Dante, and departed John Landis, and Larry Cohen, another departed auteur. But all these guys can't get money. Like no one wants to give John Carpenter money to do a film.
I've heard that recently.
Don Coscarelli, like no one, all those guys who had George Romero, towards the end, like George Romero's last project, they've turned into comic books and books, basically, because even after the success of the remake of Dawn of the Dead and his Land of the Dead, which I think did fairly well, no one wanted to give him money, so these folks, they just don't want to,
that blows my mind, because it's like,
so I think that's what they'll give John Carpenter money to do is more Halloween.
but it's like we have all these people that worship these directors, or even like got their starts there. It's like, why are you not holding these people up? Like,
because they have to make another superhero movie.
Yeah.
So I don't know why you're asking for money for John Carpenter.
Well,
like it makes me so sad.
Too is I think it is such a business, and I having been lucky enough to interview these folks in the 10 years I've been involved with Terror in the Isles, I interviewed David Naughton, and from American Werewolf in London, and he was like, you would think that these people who got into film would be film scholars, and he's like, they're not. Like he goes, he can't get work because people don't know who he is. They don't, like these young executives who have studied film and all that kind of stuff, don't know what American Werewolf in London is, or maybe like it but aren't like aware of who the stars are, and and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, so I think these films, no matter how popular and critically acclaimed, and the people, with the money in Hollywood don't know them, like don't know.
It's
I have
true.
a question for y'all.
yeah.
I do want to get back to your film festival lists
Yes.
specifically, but I also want to ask you, because we're talking about like film knowledge and things like that. What do you two think about the canon? However the canon is supposed to look like, because the two movies that you've both chosen as your favorite horror films, I could very easily say are not canon films. Like they're not canon horror films. But if that is the case, what do you think about how we think of the canon, like the movies that the executives would know? They know what The Exorcist is, for example.
Yeah.
I think just in general, I think to be too obsessed and rigid with the canon, if I'm kind of thinking of what you're meaning by that, like who cares, like with the Halloween, like literally having 6 or 7 different storylines, and the canon gets played with, like whatever the theory, or the Nightmare on Elm Street remake with oh my god, the Bad News Bears.
What's his Michael
Jackie Early Haley.
There it is.
Yeah. I'm like, I was like, so what? It's film. It should be. I think we can study it and embrace it,
yes,
and analyze it. But to take it, like to get an uproar and scream and yell and go, how could they? And I will not watch this. And I think it's ridiculous. So I think the canon is important on a certain level, but I think we can't take it too seriously. And it's unfortunately that like the Uber fans do take it too seriously, because it's all entertainment in the end. And the thing that you hate is literally saving someone else's life. I mean, literally, like, particularly in these bleak times, like, when people are sick and the world's crazy, and your least favorite film is the film that someone else comes home every day and puts on the DVD or the Blu-ray and collapses into, and that lets them go on to the next day.
Yeah, like somebody gets joy from it no matter where it lives in our, like we just talked to the writers of Texas Chainsaw, the 3D one, and how that was like not necessarily like, people are basically like not putting that in the storyline, even though when I watched it I was like, this fucking rules. Like this is actually a really great ass movie about toxic masculinity. Like holy shit. So it was like a really fun little turn for me. I was also thinking about the one time that we went. I was at a Music Box of Horror at the Music Box 24-hour film festival of just horror. But they played Freddy versus Jason, and everyone, they like said something like, "Oh, like Jason's getting kind of a comeback, but Freddy's not really getting much of a comeback lately." And me and another like millennial screamed at the guy, because at this point we were just drunk and tired.
Yes,
we were like. Yeah, Freddy sucks. My life is a nightmare. Like we just all were like, every waking minute is a nightmare. We don't give a shit anymore. Like,
well, I think also, unlike Michael and Jason and some of these other things, I think Freddy's so identified with Robert Englund, and Robert Englund's getting up there. Like there ain't too many more years.
I cannot tell you how excited I am of someone doing like a I don't know, like a 2023 movie where it's like somebody's doing a routine sleep study, and it's super like just talking about how like depressed this person is because they can't sleep. And then all of a sudden, like more than halfway through this trailer, Freddy Krueger pops out. I would die. I would be like, no, why? Like, directed by Jordan Peele. Like I would lose my damn mind.
Yeah,
I think like there's a place for him. We just have to completely change it up.
Yeah.
That's what horror is doing now. It's just literally like twisting it up. That's why, like, Human Centipede, I loved it because I was like, that.
All right.
That
would that be your festival, Human Centipede?
100%.
All right, awesome.
100%. Mine would be, but it would
Right.
Human Centipede 2 and after dinner.
There we go.
Directly after the dinner time.
Mine would be The Fan, Windows, and Eyes of Laura Mars. They're all
Laura Mars.
all based in New York City. You know, it's Lauren Bacall and The Fan. It's Faye Dunaway and Eyes of Laura Mars, Elizabeth Ashley and Tyler Shear and Windows. They're all very, very New York City based. All have kind of LGBTQI themes.
Mm-hmm.
And then possibly as a little appetizer, Visiting Hours with Lee Grant. Which is that's a Canadian film, but still this kind of powerful women in entertainment. And so that would be my fest. And I know Jared wants to jump in with his. I think this is the moment that Jared would want to jump in, everyone.
Yeah.
He would agree. But
I'm trying to think what he would put. He would put something with time. He put something with a bunch of rock and roll in it, like just something that's like super goofy. That's what Jared likes. He likes that rock and goofy stuff.
Shock 'em Dead.
Yeah.
Okay.
But we have to wrap up, unfortunately.
Oh yeah. Oh my gosh.
Crazy.
Can you believe we did it? A whole hour of just chit chatting.
No, because like God.
Right.
I feel like we just got started.
We'll have to have you back, madame.
I really, yeah. I'm 100%. Sorry I didn't have more like pointed things to say.
Not at all,
guys.
And hey, next time you come on, if you want to do something a little bit more geared towards a certain way, we're happy to do that too. But yeah, we just kind of,
not that you necessarily have to be doing this, but is there something that the folks should check out? Do you have a blog? Do you have anything like that going on? I mean,
sure. Okay, thank you. I didn't even think. Oh yeah, I'll take a plug.
Do it.
I have a website. It's Coye Lloyd. It's my name.com because I have a weird name and my partner, he builds websites. It's gorgeous, the website he made for me. Ooh. And it has he posted some of the things I've written, and it's only been things that I've written that has been like published for people around Indianapolis. I don't have any of my scholarly work on there because that's embarrassing, and you don't want to read 12 to 24 pages of me waxing poetically with all these quotes about things that are about, psychoanalytic and Marxist bullshit. You don't want to hear me do that. You don't want to hear me do that. You don't want to hear me do that.
I don't know. Maybe I do.
Maybe one day I'll post something that I've cleaned up and made a little bit less,
more accessible to the masses. More
accessible, yes. I don't want to be too, heady. But yeah, thank you so much for having me, and check out that website, coyelloyd.com.
Awesome.
And then, my Instagram is coyfish, KOI.
Awesome. And is it CoyelLoyde?
Yeah. CoyelLoyd.com. Yes. Okay. I heard an E. I'm sorry. And then I'm not trying.
Did. Like I'm spell check is my mistress, is my goddess.
Same. I don't know how to spell. And also one of my teachers back in high school told me that not being able to spell is kind of like a sign of genius. So just take that.
I also heard that about picking your boogers and eating them.
Me too. That same teacher told me the same thing.
Yeah. But only if you throw a little Tabasco on those.
Oh, Tabasco. That's what makes me a super genius. I see.
There you go.
Oh my God. Well, thank you so much. We very much appreciate you being here. Yay.
Thanks for having me. Yay.
Hello and welcome to your second segment of As Scream on TV with Caitlin and Annabelle. Today, we're going to talk about horror TV daddy, Ryan Murphy. Now, there's a lot to cover, So first, what we're going to talk about is what I think is his first introduction to horror television, and that's Nip Tuck, right? Nip Tuck, while not traditionally horror, was had lots of body horror in it, and it had the horror of transphobia and misogyny and the whole Carver storyline. There was lots and lots of horror in Nip Tuck, and that's where I think he got his first taste of television blood, if you will. After Nip Tuck, we did Murder House. And then after Murder House, you had Asylum, then Coven, then Freak Show. Then you had Scream Queens season 1. And then after that, we had Hotel. I'm looking at my notes. I should have put them in front of me like a professional podcaster, but I didn't. We had Hotel, and then we had Scream Queens season 2. Then we had Roanoke, Cult, Apocalypse, 1984, double feature. And then you had Ratched, which I would also consider horror. And then American Horror Stories has been our most recent Ryan Murphy. That came out around the same time as actually double feature. So now that that's sort of the rundown, the order with which Horror TV Daddy gave us our gifts. Some would disagree. Some would say that Ryan Murphy is all glitz and glamour, and he is. All his men look like they were made in a Ryan Murphy factory, and I'm fine with that. Everything that Ryan Murphy makes looks very beautiful, but I think he's got some things to say in a few seasons. I think he does. So here's my ranking of American Horror Story, worst to best. And keep in mind, I like them all, mostly. So, okay. Number 10, I'm going to say 1984. It was yet another, it was towards the end of one of the more recent seasons. So you'd think, let's give us something new. And yet again, it's ghosts trapped somewhere. And now it's just all 80s slasher tropes, which could have worked, I think, if he'd tried a little harder, given us something else. I don't know. It was the most straightforward of Ryan Murphy seasons. Although now that okay, so listen, American Horror Story is one of those shows where you remember it, you watched it like 3 years ago, and you remember what that season was about, and then when you really start to think of it, you realize that there was totally insane bonkers shit that happened that you totally forgot about, like the Richard Ramirez stuff in 1984, now that I'm thinking about it. Anyway, I'm still going to say that's my least favorite, although Brian enjoyed 1984. Brian loved it. Our host, Brian Kirst, he was an 84 fan. So, different strokes for different folks. All right, just above that, I'm going to go with double feature, and this is really shitty, but I didn't even finish it. I really liked the first half. I really did, up until like the last episode. I thought that Macaulay Culkin, introducing him to this like Ryan Murphy company of actors, I think is a great idea. I want to see him more. I love him. I love Sarah Paulson, obviously, even though I don't think they really went anywhere with her character. Frances Conroy and Evan Peters, that's maybe some of my best, my favorite Frances Conroy is in that. And I like the vampire idea, but honestly, I checked out on the second half of that season, and I don't know if it's just because, like, this was pandemic times, and I don't know. I didn't finish it. So, while I am a professional horror television watcher, I'm human. I'm just human. So I'm going to go back and watch that. But I still think no matter how good, because I did read all the spoilers. I always read the spoilers. I'll always go in and I'll at least read the episodes. And nothing about the second half of double feature called out to me. If I'm wrong, please let me know. Leave a comment. Send an email. Call our hotline. I don't know. I'll go back and watch it. All right. Then above that, I'm going to say Apocalypse. But as I say it, I'm still not sure that that is in the number 8 position. Because I did like Apocalypse. And Billy Eichner was in it. And I love Billy Eichner. We're going to leave that at 8. And I do like the continuation of the Coven storyline and the continuation of even Murder House with Michael. And no, I'm sticking it at 8. Okay, number 7 is Cult. So here's my thing about Cult. I could not watch Cult when it first aired because it was too relevant. It was happening. I couldn't watch Trump shit as it was happening. It was too much. It was too horrific. Go figure. That's my line, I guess, is I can't watch a commentary on something as I'm living it. I found it too upsetting. I wasn't into it. And when you're living it, characters like Evan Peters, who's this crazy pro-Trumpy villain, you can't fall in love with them because you hate those people in the moment. Yeah, so it was hard to love Evan Peters, and I feel like one of the hallmarks of American Horror Story is falling in love with Evan Peters. So it's going to stay at 7. At 6 is Roanoke. A lot of people hate Roanoke. I love Roanoke, and I'll tell you why. Why? It's about television. And just the fact that it's a commentary on reality TV and the cult of celebrity and how we take real people's lives and turn them into entertainment, and how they did that not only with the original story of the disappearance at Roanoke, they turned that into a story, and then they turned the lives of the actors into a story. And I think Roanoke had a lot to say, and I think it's good. And I encourage everyone to, if you're going to rewatch any season of American Horror Story, it should be Roanoke. And it's actually an interesting commentary on the new Netflix show Inventing Anna, about Anna Delvey or Sorokin, and about what the need for reality TV and celebrityism and stuff like that. Roanoke is good. I might move it up higher. What was that, 6? Okay. 5 is Freak Show. And it ranks right in the middle because the music was awesome. Elsa Mars as a character was awesome. That blue suit she wore was beautiful. And Evan Peters as Jimmy Darling is the most sexually attractive character that's ever been on TV. I said it. I mean it. You know what I mean. It was a good scene. It was sexy. So yeah, Freak Show 5. 4 is Coven. Everybody loves Coven too. Coven is everybody's number 1 usually, but I'm going to leave it at 4. Just because when I first watched it, I didn't really care about these teenage girls. I didn't really care about them. But then you rewatch it again. That's like the least interesting part of it, is the girls. And the other storylines are much better. And then, and also Coven, I think, ranks higher now that Apocalypse happened. Because Coven might not be up there for me if Apocalypse had never happened. But the tie-in, I love a Ryan Murphy tie-in. I want him to keep doing that forever. I dig it. I love it. Number 3 is Hotel. I don't think I have to tell you why that's so high. I love Dennis O'Hare. I love the episode where it's Halloween and all the serial killers come to hang out. That was a great episode. And Lady Gaga, who at first I was like, why is Lady Gaga on TV? You know what? Because TV horror needs Lady Gaga. We need her to come back. Number 2, Murder House, the original. I love Murder House. It's just a classic story. It's where it all started. It's where we were introduced to this whole ghosts getting caught and living out their lives, their deaths, in one location. It brought us the resurgence of Jessica Lange. Murder House. Just classic, just good classic horror television goodness. Loved it. And then my number one is Asylum, because it was insane. It had aliens, and it had Nazis, and it had mental asylums, and it had serial killers, and it had conversion therapy, and it had thunderstorms, and oh, it's good. Santa. Oh. Asylum was the scariest one. Chloe Sevigny. Remember her? Ugh. Crawling up those stairs. I'm going to rewatch all of these. All of these, I think. So my number one is Asylum. And I want to talk about one more thing. Let's talk real quick about Ryan Murphy's company of actors. Like, we all know that he works with the same people over and over again, but there's a few things that I wanted to share that I don't think everybody knows. So Frances Conroy was first involved in the Ryan Murphy universe. She was in an episode of Nip Tuck where a chimpanzee ate her best friend's face. Horror television. Lily Rabe was in an episode of Nip Tuck where she ate her husband. Horror television. Jane Lynch was in Popular, his very first show, not horror. And she was also on Glee, which some I think would consider horror, but that's another segment for another show. Leslie Grossman is his longest running person because she was Mary Cherry in Popular, which if anybody can find episodes of Popular, I found some on YouTube, but they're terrible quality. I would love to rewatch Popular. Not a horror show. Not relevant to As Scream on TV, but it was a good show. And then I just want to give a shout out to Glenn Powell as Chad Radwell in Scream Queens, which was peak camp brilliance. And he deserves more attention than he got. And then finally, to wrap up, I'm going to rank Kathy Bates's American Horror Story accents. Number 5, Miriam Mead, Apocalypse. Just your standard android accent. Not that interesting. Number 4, we're going to go with Iris from Hotel. She's doing just a tired working class standard Kathy Bates. As I like to call it, standard KB. Number 3, Delphine Laurie, which apparently she wanted to do French and Ryan Murphy nixed that. So she sounds like she's doing some sort of mix of just like Cajun and like fancy racist. I don't know. She's doing something. So at least it's there. It's number 3. Number 2, The Butcher and Agnes, 2 accents in one. I found a Twitter. I'm Gen Z. Found a tweet where she said that she was doing Elizabethan Lancashire, which I guess is the accent that Shakespeare should be performed in, and that's what Agnes is using as the butcher. But there's also some Reddits you can find and some talk that she's doing like 15th century Yorkshire. It sounds something like that. When I listened to it the first time, I thought it was Scottish. But then she flips into just her normal Agnes character, and that is a nice standard KB. So, second place for 2 accents. And the number 1 accent, I don't think there should be any argument to this. I think you'll all agree that her Baltimore accent as Ethel Darling in Freak Show is a thing of beauty. It's art. It's high art. Rewatch some Ryan Murphy. Rewatch Scream Queens Season 2. That's the most controversial Ryan Murphy horror television show. That's it. Of all the people I've talked to, that's the one where you love it, you hate it, you didn't watch it. I don't know. What do you think? Annabelle? Wouldn't it be crazy if she like blinked right now? Those of you listening, you wouldn't know. But the rest of you would be freaked the fuck out. All right, I'm Caitlin. Thank you.